All right, fastest 15 minutes on the internet, fastest 15 minutes in social media. My name is Judson Powell, and just want to do a follow-up, the aftermath of what I said about the conspiracy of Kobe Bryant's death. Now, here's the thing. First of all, I want to shout out Dr. Umar Johnson, who also saw it the same way I did, and he also pointed out one thing that I felt, but I kind of went on just my spiritual instincts and the fact that I understand satanic rituals, and I understand, I know about how the Illuminati rituals work because I've studied them. And so, basically Kobe's death had all of the satanic and Illuminati elements to it, of their ritual. And a lot of people have basically died at the hands of this ritual. So when it pops up, those of us who are spiritually inclined, we sort of look at it. You don't even have to. And don't get me wrong, it's not all spooky and nothing. It's not that you have to be really spiritually inclined, but it's just that I discern a lot of things spiritually. And as soon as it happened, the first thing that popped in my mind was, oh, this is a ritual, because it had too many of the elements. Okay, so now, and the reason why I want to talk about Dr. Johnson is because, first of all, and I know a lot of y'all hate him and y'all say this, that, and the other thing, but I love the brother. I think the brother's a good brother, and I understand how it is when you're trying to do something and you ain't got no money, and you don't ask people for money and all that kind of stuff. I've been running ministries all my life, so I understand, exactly how that goes when you're out there and you're trying to fundraise and you're trying to, get your agenda get together and stuff like that. Because if y'all didn't notice, he's a black man. and he's probably, he's doing it, he's winging it. So, fake it till you make it or whatever with the school and everything. I know y'all would talk about that, but anyway, that's not what this is about. But anyway, the final thing, the thing that I didn't realize was that Kobe and the pharmaceutical industry were fighting each other over the name Black Mamba. Okay, so I didn't realize that. So that's something that I didn't know. But when he did his video and I watched it, he pointed out that, look, one of the things that was pending is, I guess he has a lawsuit, or either he's suing somebody or somebody's suing him. But y'all got to understand, there are what we call industrial complexes. There's a food industrial complex. There's a medical industrial complex. There is a energy industrial complex. So all of these industrial, and when I say industrial complex, what I mean is that off of the population, these are ways that they make money off of the population. And when those things are stunted, then they don't make as much money. All right. And so pharmaceuticals is a big one. In fact, I believe that's part of why, is also part of why Nipsey Hussle was killed. Of course, everybody's like, that's probably, well, the whole thing with Dr. Sebi. And if you know how to heal yourself, if you know how to heal yourself, or if you understand healing and you understand natural medicines and you understand all of that, well, if you're in the pharmaceutical industry, you don't want that to get out. You definitely don't want that to get out. Why? Because it's billions of dollars. Do you realize every single day how many doctor's appointments there are and all that kind of stuff? So anyway, so that is a possible, obviously that's a motive. So that's the only thing that was missing from all of the elements of the ritual, because all of the elements of the ritual were there. They went back. What did they do? They found him going down in the helicopter. Another thing that somebody else had pointed out was the fact that he had these action figures and helicopters and all of that kind of stuff. He had all of these things. So once again, when we talk about the predictive programming and all of that, okay, and which is part of the ritual, he had these these action figures of him, where he actually had a helicopter growing out of his head and or on his back. I can't remember. I just looked at it briefly. I didn't look at it for long. And then he had helicopters. And then this is another thing. Before his death, I guess, it was reported that the price of the helicopter figures, or these helicopters that he had, that the toy companies had manufactured, had actually gone up to like $500 or some crazy amount. Okay, which was also what? Predictive programming, right? Okay, and always part of the ritual. And why? Because see, you got to understand, and this is why I wanted to get into this a little bit more. The predictive programming and the basically the prophecy of all of this kind of stuff is so that they can make money. All right, you have to understand. And now, let's look at the aftermath. Okay, we have this whole controversy about this reporter who, whether she said the N-word or didn't she say the N-word or whatever. Okay, then because part of it, what is shaming the person or making the person look bad. So, and once again, let's compare it to Whitney Houston. When Whitney, everybody was, the whole crack is whack. Oh, she was a crackhead. She was this, that, and the other thing. And everybody kind of came together and kind of like what? And shamed her and put her down. Okay, and the same thing. So now this whole controversy with the N-word. And then the next thing was what? These women that were coming out, and what were they talking about? They were talking about him being a rapist. Okay, and he was never convicted of rape. All right, no matter what happened or whatever, as far as we know, he wasn't convicted of rape. All right, and whatever settlement that they came up with, it was basically, you don't disclose, I don't disclose. There was money transfer, and it's a non-disclosure, no gag order on the whole thing. So we don't know. So technically we don't know. But in the media, I even had somebody come on my post and was like, oh, well, he's just a rapist. So you see what I'm saying? So all of these things are part of the ritualistic killing. They are all part of this murder. They are all part of this sacrifice, this blood sacrifice. That's what it is. And, I got people telling, oh, well, that sounds, I had one of my friends tell me that is far-fetched. It's not far-fetched when it's been done. It's been done many times throughout history. Michael Jackson, Heavy D, and other people that may not be as big or whatever, Prince. All of these things, all of these killings are ritualistic. And when you say something to people, it's like, oh, well, I don't believe that, or this, that, and the other thing. But when all of the elements are there, all of the elements are definitely there, then how do you explain it? You know what I'm saying? It's like when all the elements are there, then, and these things have been going on for years, then how do you explain it? And then, like I was trying to tell people, it's like even when you go to church, or right, you take communion, it's a ritual. Jesus is a ritual for that matter. It's a Akashic, the whole, that whole thing is a Akashic ritual. That's what it is. It's been around. It was around way longer than 2,000 years. But if you don't study that kind of stuff and you don't know that kind of stuff, then you don't look for it. It's never looked for. And then of course the cartoon, the cartoon surfaced, all of that stuff surfaced. Everything that was a part of that curse, everything that was a part of that ritual, it showed up. All right. And like I said, and I didn't even realize that all that stuff existed. But like I said, it's just, I got that, like my wife says, you got spidey senses. It's like, as soon as something happens, and it was like when what was it? My man, what was Dave Chappelle, Juicy Smollett, or whatever. When that happened, I said, that never happened, honey. And she was like, what? I was like, there's no way. I was like, that's fake news. And she was like, oh, you're just saying that. I said, no. I said, that never happened. That didn't happen. And it's just sometimes that in the recesses of my spirit that certain things are revealed to me. And I don't know, but this one was one of those things that was spiritually, revealed to me. And I do have spiritual discernment because I'm always like delving into things that are spiritual. and that are spiritually discerned, as they talk about in the book. Right. So now let's get in on this, because this is what it is. The reason why they perform these sacrifices is for fame and money, and the reason why people become members of the Illuminati is for fame and money. They want to be famous. They want to be rich. They want to have this thing. And at this point, I believe, well, first of all, I believe the money, with Kobe, I believe the money was the motivating factor. This whole pharmaceutical thing, I believe that was the motivating factor, one of the motivating factors. And the other thing is, I think he wanted out because he's got a lot of children. And, and children always change everything. It's like before you have children, and that's why I say, like people do all kinds of crazy stuff. And then when they have children, it kind of, then they realize, well, wow, this could happen to my child. Whatever it is that I'm trying to push on everybody else can now be pushed on me. Right. So, and it's the universal law. It's basically the universal law of oneness. It's like, because whatever you affect on somebody else is going to be eventually, it's going to affect you. Because it's just like, when you're in it, and that's what you talk, when you're ascending to your higher self and to your higher nature. Like once you have, like my daughter changed my life. My first daughter, she changed my life. I love you, Ferrari. But, she changed my life because I couldn't go around and in good conscience do, act the fool that I was acting when I knew that it would affect her, and so, things like that change you. But, but I don't think that this, that his death had anything to do with his karma. I think more so than not, it just had to do with the fact that he didn't want to play the game anymore. And, at a certain point, you can't fight the powers that be because they're too big. I remember when Michael Jackson, like right before, Michael Jackson disappeared, and basically Michael Jackson disappeared off the face of the earth. Well, the ritual thing was, at that point, was that they were showing one of the motivating factors behind his death was that they didn't want him to pass Elvis as being the greatest singer, or the greatest, having the most sales, the most album sales of all time, because they never expected. See, when they kind of tricked themselves, because they never expected for Thriller to sell as many copies as it did, but it did. And then they were like, wow, and then even to this day, all of that, every, like we see every Halloween, they do the line, they line up and do the dances and all that kind of stuff. And that's a ritual too, by the way. But they never expected for him to sell that many records. And as soon as he got to the point of about to be breaking my Elvis's records, then the white supremacists, were like, no, we can't let that happen. And so every time, if you notice, every time some allegations came out against him or anything like that, what was it? He was either about to release another record or he was about to tour. And every single time. And so this time he was about to tour again, but he never made it to the tour. So I'm just saying, y'all gotta start waking up to this stuff. Whenever somebody dies prematurely like that, there's a reason. Things, I stopped believing in coincidences a long time ago. I really have. I stopped believing in coincidences a long time ago. So, anyway, so get that. And I'll go more in depth on what the Illuminati spirituality thing is all about on the next video, because I wanted to kind of follow this up. And I know I said I would talk about the spirituality aspect of it, but I will. Because it is spiritual warfare. It's spiritual warfare at its finest. And what was really bad and what's really sad about it, all of the spiritual warfare actually comes from us. Comes from Kemetic and Kushite and spirituality. So, but once you know what it is, you can spot it very easily. You can spot it real easily. Anyway, that's gonna do it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Shout out to my 200th subscriber. I know I'm small time, but anyway, and I love you all.